The end. The NBA on 2K Sports. Welcomes you to Wednesday afternoon basketball. This is Kevin Harlan with Greg Anthony and Brent Barry. From the sideline, we'll have David Aldridge. We'll be hearing from him in just a moment. It'll be Indianapolis off the tip. Lillard, right side. Here's Abdul-Jabbar, and Kareem throws it down.
And not much you can do defensively once Kareem gets the ball in that close. Too much height, too much talent.
And the officials will call the illegal screen right there.
When a pick like that is questionable and creates that much of an advantage for the offense, you have to blow the whistle.
Yeah, a quick little lean like that is going to get the ref's attention. Foul call.
Hey, Brent, Damian Lillard is as clutch as they come. He is fearless. Where do you think that comes from? Why is he so effective late in tight games?
Such a great question, Kevin, but for Damian Lillard, I think it boils down to one word, and that is confidence. I mean, he has legitimately the ultimate confidence in all the work that he puts in the offseason to be in these moments, to have the ball in his hands, and it's been proven time and time again that he can come through. It's why we see him tap his wrist and it being game time. Those are some of the most memorable moments of his career.
And Lopez throws it down.
Well, Lopez at that size has no trouble throwing it down.
Allen outside. Indianapolis moving it around. Here's Edwards. Some solid defense there from Jackson.
Walking foul called on Damian Lillard. First personal foul. First team foul.
About a minute and a half through the first quarter. Here's Gilgeous-Alexander. And they call the foul, so a chance at the line for one more coming up.
Gilgeous-Alexander, fantastic concentration.
Pass to Abdul-Jabbar. And Abdul-Jabbar throws it down.
And that kind of defense ain't gonna get it done.
Gee, we don't see those kinds of dunks out of him all the time, but we know he's got it in him.
Well, any guy can throw it down against air defending him. Plenty of room, so not so amazing. What does amaze me, though, is that no one came over to contest the play.
Here's Lillard after the made shot from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Here's Abdul-Jabbar. He makes another one. That's 4 up and 4 in to start his game.
And you just look at the grace, the agility, versatility that Jabbar brings to the center position. Can beat you in so many ways.
Come on. Lopez, no luck.
And the great shooters know when they've got enough opening to go for the three. I didn't think it was a bad choice on that possession.
Lillard, and he converts the layup.
And Lillard just has the quicks right there. If you give him any space, he's going to get in that gap.
It's good. Gilgeous-Alexander's got 8.
Always fun to look at. Not tremendously efficient, but the floater, boy, those sure are pretty.
Lillard from outside. And the rebound goes to Lopez. After Reza Shea. Here is Daniels. To the wing on the left. A three-pointer is right on target. Lopez has got his second basket.
Good soft hands there from Lopez. Efficient in the catch-and-shoot motion.
is Abdul-Jabbar. Good for the 5th time in 5 shots. He remains perfect.
Just setting the tone with an aggressive move to the rack. And where's the help defensively?
Yeah, APB sent out to try to find out where the defense is. Inexcusable.
Alexander.
Just such a well-rounded offensive player. He's got a little bit of everything.
The drive by Giannis. Out to Edwards. Left side, Abdul-Jabbar. Over Lopez. Oh, we've seen some great shots in the first quarter. No shortage of offense.
Your home team.
Up by 4. And we've got more action coming your way. And if you're just joining us, we've played through 1 quarter in this one. And looking at what we've seen so far, guys, from the visiting team, what do you think?
Well, they've been aggressive from the beginning, particularly on the offensive end.
Well, if they wanted to start well, this would be it. They seized momentum right away, and they just didn't let it go in that quarter.
Pass to Rizachet. Lopez. Rebounded by Rodman.
And even though he didn't get a piece of that shot, you love the pressure he puts on the shooter.
Yeah, that's the kind of energy that you want to see on every possession throughout the game.
And they've gone to the full court press here, looking to make things as difficult as possible and maybe force a turnover or two.
This is what Gilgeous-Alexander does. He attacks you relentlessly.
Indianapolis trails by 4. Brett, there can't be any question now that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has arrived as an NBA superstar.
No doubt about it, Kevin. I mean, you finish in the top 3 of MVP voting. That is a stamp of approval. SGA, one of the more feared players in the game, and this guy is on his way.
You can't just stop when there's a pick set up. Gotta fight over it as a defender.
That's one that the coaches will watch tomorrow with that player. You hate to see him give up in that situation.
And Antetokounmpo slams it in.
Yeah, I don't know how many defenders are stopping Giannis when he's up like that.
On the wing, Daniels. Lopez outside. Here's the 3. The shot's good on the assist by Daniels. Lopez has got 8.
Does so much out there to stretch out the defense when he's out on the perimeter, and he drains the triple.
Rodman no good. Gilgeous-Alexander looking around. He can't get that one to fall. Good work defensively by Rodman.
2 minutes remaining in the
It's Wilkins on the wing. Giannis outside. .152 left to play here in the half. Rebound by Brook Lopez. Now here's Gilgeous-Alexander. Count that as his 7th field goal in 9 tries. He's shooting 78%. We've got a timeout called by Taylor Jenkins. This will give him a chance to discuss some potential alterations. And here in the second quarter of action with a hair under 2.5 minutes played so far. Back to Edwards. And it's Daniels with the rebound. Here's Gilgeous-Alexander. Lays it up and banks it in.
Gilgeous-Alexander.
Gilgeous-Alexander's got 6 here in this quarter.
You have a guard like Gilgeous-Alexander that fights inside. It can add some spunk to your team.
Pass to Edwards. And here is Antetokounmpo. Over Lopez. Down low, inside. Giannis drops it in.
Giannis has great confidence, and he's playing with it here.
Down low. Here's Gilgeous-Alexander.
Love seeing a point guard who can explode to the rim like that.
Oh, great attitude and even a better finish.
Well, just seeking out weaknesses in the defense and then exploiting it.
And Lopez throws it down.
Well, a solid facilitator that helps that the defense thinks that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to shoot and not pass.
Antetokounmpo, no good. The possibility here of pushing their lead to double digits.
And mentally, I think it makes this an even bigger edge. Oh, taking it to the rack with power.
Hammering down the two-hand slam. Inside, kicks it out to Giannis. And once again off the mark by Indianapolis. And here is Gilgeous-Alexander. The clock runs out, and we're heading to halftime.
With a score, your home team
Up 11. And we'll be back right after halftime for the start of the third quarter. We'll see you in a bit. And there wasn't too much drama in the first half, but maybe things will tighten up here in the second. Can't get it to fall. Indianapolis trails by 11. And Brent, when you talk about the best player in the league, Giannis has got to be in that conversation, correct?
Yeah, there's no doubt, Kevin. I mean, the numbers he puts up are incredible. It's how easily he dominates a game and just how unstoppable of a force he is. You know, there's so many teams out there trying to find answers for what Giannis is doing to them offensively, but how do you equip a defense to slow down the force that is Giannis Antetokounmpo?
for the away
And
team.
for a 7-footer, Lopez is pretty versatile. You get all the defensive impact you'd expect, but he can also consistently score on all three levels.
And the double up on Antetokounmpo. Iguodala grabs the rebound.
Foul